Welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews in partnership with Roadrunner Sports, and today we're taking a look at two plated daily trainers. We have the brand new Hoka Mach X and the updated Supercomp Trainer V2 from New Balance. Let's run with it. Before we get started, I do want to say these shoes were provided to me by Roadrunner Sports. However, no one had a chance to preview this video, and this file synopsis is my own. I'd also like to say please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing. Here we go. Now, the reason we're taking a look at these two shoes in particular is because they fall into a rather unique category of being a plated daily trainer. They're by no means a super race day shoe, but they're a bit more aggressive compared to your conventional daily trainer. Also, to put these shoes within their relative product lines, we have the New Balance side of the house, which has their Supercomp Pacer, which is really designed for their shorter races. Then you have the Supercomp Trainer, the one we're taking a look at today, basically a daily training option. And we also have the Supercomp Elite, which is their true marathon race day shoe. And then for the Hoka side of things, you have the Cielo, which is their shorter race day shoe, the Mach X, their plated daily trainer, and then their Rocket X2, which is their super shoe, which is why I think these two kind of go together as being plated daily trainers and are a good head-to-head comparison. Both shoes cost $180. The Mach X does not come in a wide edition, while the SC Trainer does. So if you have a higher volume foot, you might want to take a look here as it gives you that extra width option. With regard to weight, the Mach X comes in at 9.1 ounces, while the SC Trainer is 9.7, making it roughly half an ounce heavier. Now, while this is good for a typical daily trainer, it is rather heavy compared to some other shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 or the Asics Magic Speed 3. For stack height, this was a little bit tricky. I couldn't really find solid numbers, mainly because Hoka gave all their stack heights for a men's size 9, while New Balance did it the standard way for a men's size 9. The SC Trainer has 40 millimeters in the heel with 34 in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop, while for a men's size 10 for the Mach X, it has 42 in the heel and 37 in the forefoot for a 5 millimeter drop. So it's kind of hard to get the exact measurements for stack height. It's a little bit tricky, but just doing the eyeball test, they are rather comparable and kind of within relatively the same ballpark. Moving on to the upper, the SC Trainer has a very open engineered mesh. You can see directly into the shoe. The breathability is like a 10 out of 10. As far as the fit goes, I will say it is true to size, but the overall volume is very accommodating. So if you have a higher volume foot, the standard width I think might work for you. So give it a shot before you feel like you have to go up to that wide edition. The tongue is incredibly thin and you can just see right through it, helping the breathability even more. There's no foam blocks or padding, so if you have to pull these laces really tight, you will feel a little bit of lace pressure. The heel counter is relatively sturdy with a minimal amount of padding, and I will say the lockdown was pretty good. The overall fit and volume here, like I said, is rather generous, so I did have a little bit of sliding, especially compared to the Mach, which had a bit more of a traditional, kind of more snug feel to it. But overall, I was quite happy with the fit and lockdown, especially because it gave my toes plenty of room in the toe box. The Mach X has a Creel Jacquard mesh, which is also very breathable. It does fit true to size, but has a more snug fit and feel compared to the Supercomp Trainer. In my opinion, I did prefer the upper on the Mach X, mainly just because I felt like it's a little bit more connected to the platform. But if you do have a higher volume foot or a wider foot, I could see how the SC Trainer might work a bit better for you. The tongue on the Mach X is incredibly thin, but they added a small foam block down the center to give you a little bit more comfort and protection from lace pressure, which I did find to work quite well. And I do wish the SC Trainer had that as well. The heel counter has a very similar level of padding, and I thought the lockdown was stellar. And again, probably a slight edge to the Mach X here, in my opinion, with regard to lockdown fit and feel. Moving on to the midsoles, we have two completely different setups here. The New Balance SC Trainer has fuel cell on the top and bottom with a full-length carbon fiber plate sandwiched between these two layers of foam. They call this their Energy Arc technology. On the other side of the house, we have the Mach X, which has a P-Bax plate, basically a plastic plate, sandwiched between a top layer of PEBA foam, the same kind of foam we see on the Rocket X2, Hoka's super race day shoe, with a bottom layer of EVA foam, which is a bit more traditional and kind of helps stabilize that really soft and bouncy PEBA material. I will say when trying these two shoes, the fuel cell foam on the SC Trainer is softer and bouncier, and that carbon fiber plate does a good job kind of stabilizing this foam, as well as the fact that there's this massive kind of cutout down the center, so as you compress the foam, it kind of spreads apart. I was actually surprised at how stable this felt. I didn't really feel like there was a whole lot of sloppiness to it. Now, if we compare that to the Mach X, this has a much more dense feeling midsole. I will say I was not able to feel the P-Bax plate, or essentially just plastic plate here, where I was able to kind of feel it a bit more here on the SC Trainer with its more rigid, more aggressive carbon fiber plate, which basically kind of sits right below your heel and swoops closer to the ground. But with that being said, I will say probably the front quarter of this shoe on the SC Trainer feels a bit more firm and just a bit more harsh compared to the Mach X, where you have this massive thick slab of PEBA foam that's, again, just directly under your forefoot. This may be obvious, but I'll go ahead and confirm the carbon plate in the SC Trainer is noticeably more stiff and rigid compared to the P-Bax plate in the Mach X, which is a bit more forgiving, just has a little bit more bend to it. And to add on to that, I will say that the toe spring and rocker geometry is a bit more noticeable on the SC Trainer compared to the Mach X with its early stage meta rocker. So which of these two shoes do I think is the faster option? And I will say before I tell you, I do think the Endorphin Speed 3 and the Magic Speed 3 are a little bit faster than both of these, but between these two shoes, I'm going with the Mach X for being the faster edition, mainly because it's over half an ounce lighter, and the midsole, while it is a bit more dense and you have an EVA foam that does restrict the PEBA experience, feels a little bit more compact compared to the much larger and I'll say bulkier midsole we see here on the SC Trainer. I will say I absolutely recommend both of these shoes. Unfortunately, I didn't get to try the SC Trainer V1. According to my friends, they said the midsole was a little bit bouncier and a little bit more fun on the first version, but the upper was a little more annoying, so we get a better upper, and the midsole's been tamed just a bit. But for the SC Trainer, more bouncy in the heel and midfoot compared to the Mach X, although a bit more firm towards kind of that front part of your toe off, especially because the Mach X has a lower drop, which means I think you get a bit more foam in the forefoot, plus they add just a thick slab of that PEBA material up there. The SC Trainer, in my opinion, while not as fast as the Mach X, was a better just kind of daily cruiser. The carbon plate just kind of helps you manage that large, bulky, soft midsole and just kind of keep on rolling. I kind of liked it for those runs. While if I wanted to kind of pick up the pace or have a little bit of a faster tempo, I think that's where the Mach X really shined through for me. Moving on to the outsole, solid amount of rubber coverage here. The SC Trainer does have a bit more width to it in both the heel and forefoot, although I think the Mach X has a little bit more ground contact just because you have this hollowed out section down the middle and towards the heel area, which allows for that greater compression towards the back of the shoe. As far as traction goes, it worked quite well. Didn't have too much of an issue. I used the SC Trainer in the rain and it got the job done. I think the Mach X has a little bit more traction just because of the amount of surface area it has with no cutout down the middle, but both worked quite well. And like I said before, the traction in lugs is rather smooth. So let me know down in the comments what you think of these two shoes and which one you're potentially leaning towards. I would love to hear from you. Well, I'm Ryan for Ryan's Running Reviews, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.